Hey guys, happy Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness week. Now, yesterday was the press conference where we learned a lot of amazing things, and I'm so excited to talk to you about all of the incredible moments from the press conference. If you follow me over on Twitter, I'm at MamasGeeky over there. You probably saw me tweeting out a lot of quotes. There are some fantastic things that we learned during this press conference, and I'm excited to dive into it with you. But before we get into it, if this is your first time here, I'd love it if you take 1 second and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this one, okay? Let's talk about the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness press conference. Hey, Tessa from MamasGeeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Now, first of all, I've got to say it was really exciting to see Sam Raimi as a part of this press conference because I'm a massive fan of his work. You guys who know me know that I love horror, so of course I love him because of his background in horror films, but I also adore his Spider-Man movies. We all know the guy is talented. He's a very talented director, so of course I was thrilled from the moment that he came on to do this film and to hear what he had to say at the press conference. Now, he talked about coming back to Marvel and all the differences and changes that have happened over the many years since it has been, but his favorite, he said the thing that helped him the most with Multiverse of Madness is actually Zoom. To be able to teleconference like that, to be able to speak to 100 crew members and show storyboards or play clips, it just really helped the process with something as intricate as this. He said the most important thing is having great actors and them knowing that the most important thing they can do is recognize the humanity within themselves. That's how people connect to our superheroes. These are great actors and they know what it's like to be a human being. They've got a vast set of experiences that they're not afraid to pull into their performances. Now, the other thing he talked about was just how well these actors know their characters. I mean, they've played them for many years, some of them, right? We're talking like Elizabeth Olsen and Benedict Cumberbatch and Benedict Wong. And he said because of that, the script was ever changing, okay? They would say things and try to fix things in the moment. No, this just doesn't feel real for my character. This feels a little bit manipulated. Or we can do this in a more true way to my character. And so they were constantly changing the script while on the set, even up to minutes before filming, which I find to be very interesting. Sam Raimi said when you've got great team members as a director, you want to pull the best of their ideas together and make something better than you could have made on your own. And that's exactly what working on this movie was like for him. Sam also talked about how there are so many other storylines that are put into this from other movies and shows. For example, WandaVision and Spider-Man No Way Home were just wrapping up, and even some parts of them were filming concurrently to Multiverse of Madness. So they had to constantly take that into consideration. He said that there are changes that rippled through Multiverse of Madness, and he imagines for the writer it was a bit like improv is for actors. The movies are reacting, making up things, changing things, and you have to be in that moment and just take it all in and go with it. And that is what they did. It has me very excited to see how things are totally going to play out in Multiverse of Madness. Of course, we also have to talk about the horror elements. Sam Raimi said that is what he was very excited about and actually completely thrilled about when Kevin Feige called him up and talked to him about it, because he knew that Multiverse of Madness was going to be the first attempt at Marvel, quote unquote, dipping their toes into the horror side of things, which is super exciting. I was excited. I know most of you are excited. And of course, like I said, Sam Raimi is excited as well. And he said, he was able to take the horror films that he made in his youth and what he had learned from them. Things like building suspense sequences, titillating the audience, stuff like that, and he was able to apply to the spooky sequences in this film. And it was very helpful. That has me very intrigued and very excited to see what is to come with Multiverse of Madness. Now, I adore Elizabeth Olsen, and I know a lot of you do as well. It was great to see her as a part of this press conference, and she was actually asked a little bit about Wanda. There's some people who say Wanda, held a whole town hostage, and they've had a lot of horrible things to say about her, but you know what? Elizabeth said that her biggest goal has always been to defend her characters. Defend, and she's going to be the lawyer to her characters. And Wanda is no different. Elizabeth says wherever they are coming from or whatever they are processing, my goal is to defend their perspective. I don't necessarily think of things as weaknesses. I think Wanda is constantly processing. I enjoy that. Even in WandaVision and all of the films I've gotten to do, she's constantly straddling this line. And her biggest emotive losses and grief is when something is born. That's been the trend. I think we get to further that in the film, which is something I'm happy about. Oh, she has me so excited. I can't wait to see what she's talking about. Elizabeth Olsen also says that before WandaVision, she took up a certain lane for storytelling that was more grounded in sincerity, loss, and grief. And since WandaVision, she's got to become anything and everything and grow Wanda into a woman. That's something that happened in WandaVision for her. She says she's also helped lead Wanda to accept she's a mythic woman, and this is her destiny. And along with that acceptance comes a clarity and confidence, and she believes Wanda has way more clarity than we've ever seen her have before in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. She has suffered a lot, and through her processing of what happened in WandaVision and her processing of her destiny, fans will get to find her in a place of strength. I can't wait to see it. I cannot wait to see what Lizzie does with Wanda in this movie. And now, speaking of Lizzie, she had a lot of fans on set. Xochitl Gomez admits that she watched her quite a bit, and I'm not gonna lie, Elizabeth Olsen was a little bit embarrassed and taken aback by the whole thing, but she said she learned a lot from watching Elizabeth. There were moments where she would see right before an intense scene or a difficult scene they were gonna be filming that Lizzie would kind of just step back and then get into that moment, and she learned to do that from watching Lizzie. She claims that she is a very powerful woman, and of course, Xochitl, as a young girl, looked up to her quite a bit. Benedict Cumberbatch added to this that Xochitl wasn't the only one looking at Lizzie when she was on set. No, everyone was. He said everyone was, quote-unquote, mesmerized by Lizzie. For those of you who don't know, Xochitl Gomez is portraying America Chavez. This is her debut into the MCU. She is a 14-year-old girl, and she is also a member of the LGBTQ plus community, which is something that Marvel is not going to shy away from. They are going to address it in this film. Now, Kevin Feige talked a little bit more about this character and said that that aspect of America's characters from the comic books, and they always want to adapt them as well and as truthfully as they can. When people see this movie, much like in life, it's not any one thing that defines a character. She's a 14-year-old girl figuring out this very traumatic element of her life, which is not the LGBT thing. It's the fact that she keeps being tossed around the multiverse multiple times. So being truthful to that and showcasing that was important for Marvel to do. Kevin Feige also addressed the Marvel leaks. Unfortunately, with any of these big game-changing films, leaks are an issue. He was asked how they keep stuff under wraps, these twists, these turns, these surprises, and he kind of chuckled and said, well, clearly we don't. I mean, there were some major leaks yesterday, the same day of the press conference for Multiverse of Madness, and we know things came out for Spider-Man No Way Home as well. So Kevin talked a little bit about that and addressed these leaks by saying, a lot of people are getting good at not spreading leaks around once they see them. If somebody steals something, don't spread it around because it potentially lessens the experience. In a lot of ways, No Way Home showed that it did not lessen the experience, however. So we will continue to do the best that we can, but the most important thing is delivering the movie or the show that delivers regardless of what you know going in. So yes, he says that the most important thing is to make sure that even if you do find out this thing that you did not want to know about the movie, going into the movie, you still enjoy it just as much as you would if you had not known. Hopefully that is the case when Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness hits theaters this Friday. Before we wrap this video up, we've got to talk about the man himself, Dr. Stephen Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, and he talks about how Doctor Strange may or may not be becoming a leader. Now that seems to be the speculation here, right? He's probably going to be the next leader in line after Tony Stark. What does that look like? You know, Tony Stark's not around anymore. Steve Rogers isn't around anymore. Who's going to lead the next group of superheroes? Well, when asked about it, Benedict Cumberbatch does have something to say. He says, well, he's quite an outsider. He doesn't immediately strike you as a leader, despite his prominence in the MCU at the moment. That's what makes him really interesting and conflicted as a hero. It's the humanity that keeps people coming back for more. We see in this film an iteration of someone we've seen who's very omnipotent, very creative, and omnipresent. Yet, we haven't really understood what the cost of all that is. What it is that's fueling both him as a person and also with this mysterious realm of sorcery and magic. Benedict adds that yes, Dr. Stephen Strange, however, does have some great leadership qualities, such as being a collaborator and working with others and knowing that it can't always be him to be the one to control it. So I guess we will just have to see what the future holds for Dr. Stephen Strange. Now, finally, we've got to talk about these Dr. Strange variants. We've seen them in Marvel's What If, and we know from trailers that there are indeed going to be different versions of Dr. Strange in this film. So I asked Benedict Cumberbatch what it was like to get to explore these sides of Doctor Strange, and I absolutely loved his answer. He says, this multiversal narrative structure or idea is like it is in our own lives. We play multiple roles. We have incredible capacity and imaginative space in our subconscious to imagine ourselves into different circumstances in our dreamscape, and I feel this is an exploration of that. In a sense that he's meeting other versions who are essentially him, but they've made different choices in different circumstances with different outcomes. It's a great fuel for a form of very odd, very spectacular self-therapy. Benedict goes on to add that he has had a lot of fun exploring the different sides of Dr. Stephen Strange. He gets to shift the look, the attitude, the abilities, and the mannerisms of this character that he has played for years. He calls it same, but different. Benedict Cumberbatch explains that there's a fine balance they had to finesse through Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but he feels that they really pulled it off. He wanted to throw down as many opportunities as possible, and this was his gateway into doing that. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this information about the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness press conference. Be sure to head to MamasGeeky.com for more articles and more quotes from the press conference. You can also follow me over on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at MamasGeeky over there, MamasGeeky. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, guys. Let me know your favorite part about the press conference down below in the comments. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness hits theaters everywhere on May 6th. I'm seeing it on May 5th, and I promise you I will have a video review up as soon as possible. But be sure to check out my review at MamasGeeky.com as well. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.